The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
That was a bang-up job, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for the intro. Hi, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
And we had to have a little fun with that. In case some of you didn't recognize that clip, that was provided by Fall River Government Television. And it's from the mayor's commercial here in Fall River. Very interesting that that was made before the allegations came out. But it was quite interesting, to say the least. You have to laugh at it. You really do, Chip. You know.
Well, at least we know he's practicing. So, but practice is always good.
I would say.
But well, we had a guest scheduled, and City Councilor Correia, and he has been advised by the police and by council, I guess, to not discuss anything or engage in any conversation that may relate to the incident that's been all over not only the local news, but national news and even international news. So Fall River has now not just become the laughing stock of Massachusetts, we're basically on our way to becoming a laughing stock of the world, thanks to the mayor. So, and it's rather ironic because since we don't have a guest today, this is gonna be kind of a commentary show. We're gonna go over everything, and we're gonna begin with what happened yesterday on one of the most solemn days that the United States has. Obviously, you know, December 7th is a day that will always live in infamy, and 9/11 is another day that you know, every American for the rest of time should be taking pause and reflecting on what happened on that day. And unfortunately, again, Fall River didn't do it right, and I'll let CJ fill you in on what we have heard.
It's not only what we've heard, it's what we've actually seen and confirmed. On Wednesday, September 10th, the governor of Massachusetts, Governor Deval Patrick, issued an order, not a request, an order, that went out to every city, mayor, and town administrator in the 351 cities and towns of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, ordering all flags to fly at half-staff from midnight, from sunset on September 10th until sunset on September 11th, in memory and in honor of the 9/11 victims. Fall River did not do that. The mayor of Fall River failed to honor those people who gave their lives in a terrorist act in this country. And it wasn't until the mayor's office received numerous phone calls and Ann O'Neill Souza started, you know, providing defense for why they weren't done. From, we didn't see the memo, we never got the memo, we don't know what happened. You know, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to know what September 11th is. But then again, you know, maybe September 11th doesn't mean anything to the 6th floor, to the mayor's office, or to his staff. But it wasn't until 3 o'clock in the afternoon that the flags finally went to half-staff in Fall River, which I find an insult to the people of Fall River, an insult to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and more especially an insult to the families of the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attack. I firmly believe that the mayor needs to come out and publicly explain what happened and give us a truthful explanation, Mr. Mayor, not one that is just politically correct. And let these people know what happened. You not only desecrated this day for 9/11 victims and the people of this country, but you also disrespected, which you've done in the past, our military veterans and people who have given their lives in this country. Now, there is another day coming up for the death of a soldier. And we're going to see if the mayor can remember that on that day. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And Chip, I know you're a veteran. So for you, this really hits home. I know that a recruiter, Gabriel Amaral, Boomer, was very upset about it, and he posted a tirade online and made phone calls. So when the military is getting upset, and they're even providing the memo that was sent out to everyone, you have to say what's wrong with Fall River.
Yes, and you know, I have to say, you asked for an explanation, and to me, there's just no explanation. I mean, I don't care about a memo. I mean, do they even know what day it is? I mean, you can read a calendar. We knew it was, normally the 11th follows the 10th. And everybody knows what September 11th is in this nation. And apparently, this is about priorities. The mayor's more concerned about saving his political ass than he is about what goes on in this, not only in this community, but in this nation. And obviously, I led memorial services to 9/11 the year after and many years after as a firefighter, and I knew personally some of the over 300 firefighters who died on 9/11 because they were union officials, and I had met them more than once. The secretary-treasurer of the International Association of Firefighters was a lieutenant on the New York Fire Department and assigned to one of the ladder companies that lost men. And I knew some people from the union in New York that gave their lives on that day. So, I mean, to me, this is unexplainable. You can't explain this away, Mr. Mayor. This is a travesty. And then we have people saying that, people look at Fall River and they're looking at it because of a recall petition. No, they're looking at it because of the way we do business in general. This is disgraceful. I mean, it is absolutely inexcusable. And your chief of staff trying to explain it away just compounds something she's already done. She was at the city council, in the city council chamber, and she was making gestures toward the president during citizens' input when people were talking, especially Jordan Sylvia. And then she denied it. She said, I was not at the city council meeting. Again, a half-truth. Does anybody in your administration know how to actually tell the truth? We have video of Ann O'Neill Souza in the council chambers during citizens' input. So now we're going to tell a half-truth because you leave before the council meeting begins and you say, well, I wasn't there, I didn't go to the city council meeting. Well, the issue that was being discussed took place during citizens' input before the meeting. So again, political spinology, half-truths, and you wonder why people want to get rid of this administration. There's no transparency. There's not even the slightest impression that there's truth coming out. And the fact is, it just continues to go on and on and on. You've changed your story about the incident numerous times, and it's just getting to the point where, forget it. Let's just. And you called for an investigation. You didn't call for an investigation. I'll turn that back over to CJ to tell everybody what we found out about your call to be investigated for an investigation.
Well, it's interesting because we had already spoken about this prior to today's show, and we actually spoke about it before the mayor announced that he was asking for a special investigator and calling on the district attorney to hire a special prosecutor. The district attorney had already knew that he could not investigate this matter. He could not prosecute this matter because the mayor, William A. Flanagan, worked as an assistant district attorney for Sam Sutter. Therefore, there would be a total conflict of interest. And again, you start looking at the political campaign finance reports, and you see the money flowing back and forth between the candidates or between the politicians. So again, you have more soup in the bowl, and I don't think it's Flanagan kale soup. So we already knew that a special prosecutor was going to have to be issued. And we knew that the Attorney General also cannot do anything because she knows there's a conflict of interest because the mayor came out and endorsed her for governor, which I don't know if that's going to help her or hurt her, but I'll tell you now, she knows she can't do it. So that only leaves one place for this to go. That leaves the U.S. District Attorney. And let me tell you something. The U.S. District Attorney for Massachusetts does not like this type of situation. This type of person is what she goes after. Both barrels, no pun intended. But I'll tell you now, it's not looking good for the city of Fall River. Rob Mellion turned around and said that this is being a distraction to business in Fall River. People aren't looking at the fact that the commercial rail in Fall River is improving. There are tons of improvements to it. We're building a roadway down at the waterfront so that we can have, you know, an active and vibrant waterfront. I don't see an active and vibrant waterfront. All I see right now is a mess. Granted, there's going to be a mess until such time as it's completed, but when's that completion going to be? 2016, 2017? And really, what's going to go down there that's going to make it more vibrant? You want to make it more vibrant? Let people go down there and have the kitchens on wheels, as I call them, the mobile kitchens. Let them go down there and sell their product instead of having to jump through hoops with the Friends of Heritage State Park, or jump through hoops with the state, or jump through hoops with everyone else. Let there be something down there for people to want to enjoy. But again, we don't do things that way because our friends need to be politically repaid. And that's what happens here. It's an absolute crapshoot in Fall River. If you're in the right political camp, you're all set. If you're in the wrong political camp, you're up to your knees.
Well, you know that Mr. Mellion is one of my favorite people.
Yes, I believe he's your messiah, isn't
Yeah. You know, he has a job to do, and I understand that. But it seems that his job is to completely distort reality. There seems to be this perception that we have a vibrant waterfront. What do we have on the waterfront, really? Think about it. You know, we've got the Cove restaurant now, and we've got that floating bar room, or whatever its name is. But we don't have a heck of a lot on the waterfront, and you know, maybe someday we will. But that gets us down to the reality. Mr. Mellion likes to say, "Oh, the recall is distracting people," and no, that's not what's distracting people. That's not what's keeping businesses out of here. I think that, number one, as we've said numerous times, when a business looks at a place to locate, they look at the ability to have customers. When they look at a city that has 23% and possibly more now of their people living below the poverty level, and a household income that's just about half of the state average and the second lowest of a city of our size in the Commonwealth, behind the only city that has less businesses per capita than we do, ironically enough, and they can't figure that out yet. Those are the things that make businesses a little less than anxious to come here, because they have to sell in order to survive. And then another thing, do you really believe that people's attempt to change government, which is our right, is keeping businesses out of here? Maybe they think that might be a positive. They say, look, people are active, they're engaged in the community, we might go. No, what's keeping them out is that this Fall River, recently by another agency, was deemed the 4th most dangerous city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Another one has the 84th most dangerous city in the United States. The fact that we have a mayor that now says he carries a gun 24 hours a day and has a bulletproof office, you know, may tend to have people stay away. The fact that we have another school getting ready to go to level 4. The fact that we have financial problems where financial reporting agencies have said we're on the verge of receivership. All these things are there. And businesses obviously look at all these factors. But Rob Mellion wants to make it real simple. The recall. I think we've also been accused of bombing Pearl Harbor and being on the grassy knoll. Well, unfortunately, that's not true. The fact is, Fall River has been in economic distress for many, many years. And the reason we have never moved forward is because we have an Office of Economic Disaster and we have a Chamber of Commerce that continues to think that promise better economics if we reduce the taxes on the businesses. And even though we reduce taxes on the businesses, businesses are going away again. And then they applaud, you know, another pizza parlor opening up or a Chinese restaurant. And realistically, now they're talking about the biopark, like that's going to bring millions of jobs here. Oh, it's messing up the biopark. And, you know, the reality is there's been no real plan to, number one, train the people of Fall River to get productive jobs. There's been no attempt to make Fall River a place a business wants to locate because the people who inhabit this community have money to spend, and it's a safe community. We've done everything that goes in the exact opposite direction. We've reduced the fire protection. We've lost police grants. We raise taxes. We raise fees. We raise operating expenses, all of which are imposed on businesses too. And we take money out of the pockets of the people who are left in the city who actually have a job. So, you know something? You know, stop the BS, people. The only way, the only way we're going to ever change this city is if we rebuild it block by block. And the first step to that is facing the reality. Stop trying to blame everybody but yourselves.
Yeah, well, you know, you also have to look at the fact that you got people like Kenny Fiola at the Office of Economic Destruction who say that we're going to take these mills and we're going to convert them into affordable housing. Affordable housing is a euphemism for low-income housing. And what do you get when you get low-income housing? You get people who come in here from other parts of the country and from other parts of the state where they don't want them because they're building up. South Boston and Roxbury used to be the wasteland of the Boston area. All the low-income people lived there, all the criminals, that's where you found everything that you didn't want to find. And when they wanted to build up South Boston and they wanted to build up Roxbury, they moved them all to Fall River, New Bedford, and Lawrence and Lowell. And we got them. Then they started coming in from New Jersey because, you know, Richard Viveris made a comment about that as well. So it's definitely been getting very interesting all the time, for the lack of a better expression. So look at your leaders, not just the mayor. Look at the city council. Look at your planning board. Look at your zoning board of appeals. All political hacks, every one of them. And whose wishes are they carrying out? They're obviously not carrying out ours. They must be carrying out somebody else's. And that's usually the administration's. And so far, the administration has failed on every plan moving forward. To the point, though, that a park is important. That a park is very important, that we got to bond more money. You know, open space is a wonderful thing, but Fall River per capita has more parkland than any other city in the Commonwealth. So enough parkland because we can't even take care of what we got. Let's fix the roads. How about fixing the roads? How about stop giving people tickets like I got for $300 for litter on my sidewalk, which somebody dropped off there, and I don't even use that door, and I get a $300 ticket that I got to go fight in court. And then when I talk to the director of DCM, Kenny Pacheco, says, how am I supposed to know that you privatized your trash? Well, let's see. The fact that I called you 100 times to pick up my bins because I told you I had ABC as my trash hauler, sounds to me like that was more like repercussions than anything else. This is just payback. But again, I hate to speculate.
Well, you know, I mean, obviously we're doing something wrong. New Bedford just got a brand new piece of fire apparatus. I didn't see how many bags they had to sell to buy that piece of apparatus. So obviously, your priorities in other communities are a little different. Ours are a little askew. You know, we have this idea that, you know, we've got to continue to spend money. They're bonding again. The mayor again wants another 50 million, and it's like, you know, there just seems to be, as I said, there's no attempt to rein everything in. Let's get down to the basics. Let's reprioritize things, and let's try to move this community forward. No, it's all about what's going on, and now it seems that the city is basically on hold, because we have a mayor now that's fighting a recall initiative. We have a mayor that's now fighting criminal actions. Now there are two. I guess Jordan Sylvia filed a complaint against the mayor, and everybody knows Jordan, and you know, we'll get into that. Jordan is the initiator of the Throw Up and Fall River page, and you know, through this process, everybody is trying to you know, cast him as you know, a leader, and in a way, yes. The Throw Up and Fall River page was the catalyst. They got a lot of people together who were angry, and those people wanted a recall. And the recall initiative was begun by people from the Throw Up Fall River page and people from Citizens Alliance for Accountability in Government. And let me just say this, because it's a political tactic, just as Ann O'Neill Souza saying she wasn't in the council meeting and using a half-truth. It's a tactic to attack people. They're attacking Jordan right now personally, and they've threatened him. And that's completely separate from the recall movement. But it's a tactic. They want people they want to identify him and try to disparage him, and then disparage the entire recall process and the recall organization. Let me say this. The committee to recall William A. Flanagan is a coalition of people. There are no real leaders. There are people who have strengths in certain areas, and those people are being used. I am the spokesman because, you know, I was asked to do it because I've dealt with the media for many, many years as the president of Firefighters Union. We do this show. CJ does his part with media coordination because it's a strength, and everybody does their part. But they continue to try to make it like he is the leader, and everybody is just like him. Well, there's nobody like him. He's an individual. There's nobody like CJ, and there's nobody like me, and I'm sure the mayor will agree on that. But the fact is that we have a bunch of people from all walks of life with all different you know, personalities. Some are aggressive, some are introverted, some are vocal, some are quiet, but we all have one thing in common. We don't believe that the city of Fall River and its mayor are being led in the right direction, and we want to change this. So let's just set the record straight. And what's happening to Jordan now is an attack on him and his family. You know, the reason for that attack is because he was part of this recall movement. We have all been attacked to some degree. Jordan, however, has been attacked to a much higher degree. He has been, he alleges that he feels as threatened as Jasiel Correia did. So it goes, you know, it stands to reason that obviously he felt compelled to do what he's doing. But let's remember one thing. Let's get back to the basics on the recall. The recall is about changing the government. It's about getting rid of a mayor who we feel has not done his job, has lied time and time again, and has run this city into financial ruin. And it's based on on just that factor. So let's not deal in personalities, because that's what they want to do, to divert attention away from the job that the mayor's doing. So let's just remember what this is about, and let's just remember that right now the mayor's spending more time covering his political butt than he is running the city, as can be attested by what happened on 9/11.
Well, you know, and to spin off a little bit here and split, I called this morning to the Board of Elections, and I asked to speak to Liz Camara, the election commissioner. And I asked her, have you started again with counting the petitions and the signatures? And she said no. She doesn't have the time. She will try to find time and get at least one person on it for a couple of hours every day, because she has to get the results of the primary election off to the state and be postmarked by tomorrow. That's okay, that's fine. But again, I have to ask, why wasn't assistance ever requested of the state to help with this whole process? The Secretary of State's office said all that the Fall River Board of Elections had to do was request assistance. And that assistance was never asked for. And I know that people called and called and called and called and called. And I'm not saying that this is deliberate. I've seen the amount of staff she has. I've seen the amount of people in that office, and they are overworked. And they're not going to approve overtime, and they're not going to approve extra people to go certify those signatures because, number one, we can't afford it, and number two, it's really not a priority for them. But it is a priority. This is a time-sensitive matter. And every day that these signatures are not certified, every day that goes by with no input whatsoever from the Board of Elections on how many have been certified so far, is another day that goes by and drags this out further and further. And that's not acceptable. So, we need to make sure that the people know what's happening in regards to what's going on in your election commission's office. I think that's very important.
No, you're right. And as I said, it seems that, and she has, as you said, she has a reason. And we know she's short of personnel, and they have to do this. But then it does beg the question, if help was available, why won't you utilize it? Because obviously there's pressure not to speed this process up. The entire idea is to delay this until it makes a recall election not feasible because it's too close to the next election. And with that, as I said, he's hired one attorney, now he's hired another attorney. And I hear, by the way, that he is an extremely good attorney. He represented Whitey Bulger's girlfriend.
Yes.
And I've heard, I have to confirm it, but I would really like to see it. Somebody's going to send me a picture. They said in his office he has a picture of Scarface.
I can confirm that. I can confirm that. I saw that picture. I saw him sitting down with Al Pacino looking down right on him, Scarface. I guess this guy is a mob lawyer. I don't know. I mean,
well, you know what? And he is. I will say I have spoken to some of attorneys I know who are quote unquote classified as super lawyers.
Yep.
In the state, and he is one of them. And obviously, the mayor has the right to get the best counsel he can possibly afford. But my problem with that is it's not him that's affording it. He's using his money from campaign funds to do it.
Yeah, and one of his lackeys made a comment on Facebook, which, I thought very interesting. He said, "Don't worry about how much money we raise, because there's plenty of money to pay for the lawyers." I want to know where that's coming from. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, yesterday was a very interesting day because all the pages that were out there to support the mayor, the Keep Flanagan page, Keep Flanagan committee page, the No on Recall page, all these pages that were created to support the mayor, all of a sudden changed and said that the Keep Flanagan committee is a volunteer organization and is not endorsed nor authorized by Mayor William Flanagan. And the other pages did the same thing. And it couldn't be that those pages had threats to bodily harm on them, could they? I don't know. But they went dark, and then they came back all cleaned up last night. So sounds like we're all done for the afternoon. And you have a great day, and we'll see you again next week, unless we have a special episode. So thanks for watching. Keep the info coming.
Stay active and stay informed.